Welcome to the show. I'm Lynn Zetterloff Airisto, and I'm a menopause fitness coach. Today, I wanted to take a little bit of a different angle, one that is not so much about how to exercise, but maybe why to exercise. And it comes from the fact that I've been thinking back over my life and the exercise that I've done and dieting. And what I've come to realize is that throughout my whole life, I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with my body. Now, when I look back on my life at pictures of myself, I have never been somebody who's been obese or ugly or unattractive, anything like that. And yet, somehow I have managed to put some kind of expectations on myself and fallen short of them. My whole life, my waist was always kind of my thing. I gained weight immediately on my belly, my whole life, even before menopause. That was where I would gain weight. And I was always watching my tummy. You know, I was kind of obsessed with, oh, how much can I pinch there? Is a little bit of extra, all this kind of thing. And I didn't like that about my body, and I wanted to control that about my body. And and then the one thing that I couldn't control that I really hated about my body and that I got teased about and made fun of about was how pale I am. Now, I'm from Finland, which is a northern country in Europe. And, it's a land where there are a lot of blondes and where, the native Finns, now there are a lot of people from other countries that have moved here and they've intermarried and had children and everything. But back when, let's say, my parents were living here growing up, it was predominantly white people and pale white people. But even among the Finns, most of them tan. Like if they are exposed to sun, their skin will tan. Not me. I'm one of these people who does not tan. And I had very, very white hair growing up. And this was back before people were dyeing their hair regularly. So I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb, just visually. If you looked on the street in Washington, D.C., there I was sticking out because of my white hair and pale skin. And so I got made fun of a lot as being an albino and I always hated the color of my skin. I would try to tan and I couldn't tan. And back then there were no self tanners and I like wouldn't wear shorts or anything, where my legs were exposed because oh my God, white legs is like the worst, right? So so there were these things that I just couldn't control about my body and why I didn't like them. But I'll tell you that that's something that really saved me was the fact that I started doing sports. And I was not an athlete when I was little. I danced ballet from about age 4 till about 14, 15. So yes, I was coordinated. I mean, you can't take ballet lessons for that long and not be coordinated. But, I was the kid who was picked absolutely last in all the PE classes, when they would pick two kids and they would choose the teams. I knew I'm going to be the last one picked. But we had to do PE classes, and I did PE classes. And then I don't know what happened, but in eighth grade, I started playing field hockey and lacrosse. I mean, they were just in PE class. And over the summer, I went to a field hockey and lacrosse camp called Camp Mearstead. I don't know if any of you grew up in the States and played field hockey and lacrosse. It may be that you were at that camp as well. Anyway, I came back from that for my freshman year in high school, and I don't know what changed, but I was suddenly an athlete and I was chosen for the team for field hockey that fall. And halfway through the season was raised up to the varsity team. And so suddenly I went from being this non-athletic loser who got picked last on the team to being one of the only two freshmen on the varsity team. and my whole identity changed. And I have to say that my pale body, wearing those field hockey and lacrosse kilts for on game day, we wore them all day at school, so everybody would know that there's a game going to happen. So I was exposing those pale legs that I hated so much all day at school. But when I had my uniform on, my hockey uniform or my lacrosse uniform, then in the spring, it changed it for me because it was a sign that I was like an athlete, that I was on the team, that I was good at, and I actually was very good. I was MVP for my lacrosse team on my senior year. And yeah, so it's been this kind of love-hate relationship with my body. And the sports has been the love part, right? Because my body, I could do things with it. Starting at about age 15 or whatever I was in ninth grade, I started to realize that I could do things with my body and I was really good at doing things with my body. I could run faster than other team members. I was playing center of the field, so I was like sprinting up and down the field. I was a good player in general. I also did horseback riding and I was good at that. And then I went on to play in college, lacrosse at Dartmouth College. So I was a Division I team there. And our coach was actually the US squad's coach. So coached by extremely good coaches. But what I guess my point here is that the fact that my body could do something made me love my body despite the fact that I was very critical of its appearance. And I still am. I mean, I'm going to be, transparent about that. I still hate it if I gain a little bit of extra weight. I'm currently feeling a bit crap about the fact that I have maybe 2 pounds more than I would like to be carrying. But at the same time, every time I go into the gym and I lift weights and I see what my body can do, or I pick up the weights, I can lift them and I see the progress as I'm lifting heavier weights or being able to do more reps. Or this past weekend when we changed the car tires. So my boyfriend does the tire changing part, and my tires are stored in a little shed in my backyard. And it's like a little uphill walk from the shed to where we changed the car tires. And of course, the first time we did this, he was like, no, 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 he'll carry the tires. And I was like, no, no, no. I go to the weight room for a reason. So I'm carrying these tires, and they're not small tires because I have an SUV. So they're fairly heavy. And I've noticed that each time we do the tire change, they're just easier to pick up. And I love that. And I love that I can carry in all the groceries. And and I love that my body can do things. It makes me feel good about my body, even though I still have, and I think I will never get rid of, that requirement for perfection. I want to look like Paulina Porskova, right? I want to be so slender, long, tan, beautiful like she is. She still is. She's in her 50s, 50 something anyway. And she was the woman whose posters were on my wall. Christy Brinkley, all the Sports Illustrated swimsuit models of that time. But yeah, and there are other things that I do. Like life is enjoyable through one's physical self. I'm somebody who's always been a cuddler. So to me, physical closeness is a huge source of joy. Physical intimacy is a huge source of joy and energy for me as well. And as I get older and I am afraid of getting old, I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. I'm watching my parents decline, and I know I don't want that in my future. I don't want to be raising my sofa so that I can get off it more easily. I want to stay strong. And so I feel like my relationship with my body is really changing at this point. And I hear it also in the women that I coach and the women in my program. I've been interviewing some of them. And then when I've held these live master classes and workshops, I've been able to talk to them. And, whereas, yes, on the one hand, we want to look good, right? I think a lot of us do, and I still do. I want to look good. I want my clothes to fit. I don't want to have that extra bulge. But the relationship is somehow becoming deeper, or there is a bigger why to why I exercise. And it is about not just getting my body under control and so that I lose a few pounds or that I'm firmer or whatever. It's also about this is my one vessel, and my whole life, my whole rest of my life, I only have this one vessel, and I want to treat it in a way that it will serve me all the way till the end. And of course, we don't know how long we have. I was made very aware of that again over Easter weekend as somebody that I know who's close to my son, who's my age, actually a little bit younger than me, died in a very tragic, sudden death, fell down some stairs and hit her head and was brain dead. I mean, that was it. And, you can't help but think that 2 minutes before, when she was starting down those stairs, there was not a single thought of hers that that might be it. Like it might end right there. So we never know when it's going to end, but at the same time, it might go until 102. So I want to balance the keeping my body working, functioning very, very well, and treating it well, with also remembering to enjoy life at the same time. I think women in their 50s, to some degree, we're just finding ourselves. We don't feel like it's the end. And because of that, we also don't want our bodies to make us feel like it's the end. We know mentally and emotionally and energy wise that there is still a lot of life left in us. And the trick is to keep our bodies working so that we can live that life that we want to live going forward. And weight training is an excellent way. It's probably the best way to help your body stay fit and functional so that you can live the life that you want to live. And it's one of the reasons why I am so passionate about advocating for it and making it easy for women to get started and to continue on their journey forever, right? I mean, I had one woman who reached out to me this week and she's like, I'm looking for a program that I can continue for the next 10 years so that my body can stay in good shape and I can continue to get stronger and stay strong over decades. And I said, well, you have found the right place for that. And I'm really excited to help women on that journey. So, yes, I hope that you too have found peace with your body. If you have been super critical of it, I don't think we ever get rid of those images of the supermodels and the messages that we've gotten for so very, very long that we need to be smaller. And I do believe in the power of exercise and doing things with your body that you enjoy, right? Not just punishing your body because you're too big, but finding joy in moving your body so that you can have a little bit of a different relationship with your body. And hopefully you can find movement that will make you feel empowered and amazing in your body. And I hope that weight training might be one of them. Yoga and all those other things, anything that you like. Of course, I love to dance. I love yoga. And there are other things besides weight training. But I do think that weight training will help you keep your body in the kind of shape that you want to be in going forward. All right. So those were my thoughts for this week. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you in my DMs on Instagram, and the link is in the show notes. Till next week, wishing you happy training.